Welcome everyone. TheDailyWoo here as the recording of this Saturday, January 8th, 2022. Gotta make sure to get that correctly. Old habits are hard, you know, saying 21 for so long, you used to saying that. 22, it's 9 a.m. Stayed in Savannah, Georgia last night, right here along the Savannah River. In fact, I'm not even gonna get in my car today. I am going to be taking my scooter around some of the sights, the sounds, and maybe even the smells of Savannah, Georgia, a fantastic city. Starting off with the waving woman here. There's a scooter. So yeah, I'll be taking this around. It's got a full charge. There's a lot of hills here in town. We'll see what happens. Florence Martis was her name. And you can see they have her pictured with like a towel of sort or a flag of sorts that she would wave for 44 years. She retired from the job she gave herself of flagging down and waving out of friendliness to all the passing ships back in 1931. Passed away in 43, so 44 of these years of her life, she stood in this general vicinity. Her brother was a lighthouse keeper, so she had a fondness for the sea and the river and the boats, and it's just something she started doing and never really stopped. Savannah, Georgia, it's happening. I'm inviting you to join me. Oh yeah, it feels good. My lips are a little chapped, a little chilly, but that's okay. I need to get myself a coffee. I'm just gonna venture around. I should be able to cover some ground on this. Join me. Shall you? As stated, there is a lot of cobblestone and rock roads through here, right along the river walk. Might not be technically called the river walk, but it's a walk along the river. And a lot of hills up and down, a lot of stairs too. Ah yes, the Georgia Queen, right up there with the American flag waving briskly in the breeze. Not sure if I mentioned it or not, but about 44, 45 degrees at the moment. I think it's supposed to get up to 50. I would be excited if it got up to 50, just because right here along the water. Now once I get, you know, off the more inland, it won't be as chilly with the breeze. But yeah, and this thing is massive. This riverboat is very big. The colony of Georgia began on Savannah's waterfront back in 1733. The riverfront has always played an important role in Georgia weather as a colonial port, exporter of cotton, or tourist destination. And the first commercial house below the bluff opened in 1744. Not only got one boat right there going by with water being emitted out the back out into the river, but another one pulling into port over there in front of the big ferry Riverboat. Now this globe here right in the middle is titled A World Apart. And it honors the veterans of the county with their names listed along the side, on the inside of the globe on both sides. Old Savannah Tours Quite a few of these around town. This is City Market right here off Montgomery Street. See if I can find a piping hot. Yeah, it needs to definitely be piping hot because it is crisp and cool down this road. Now it is very early. This place becomes quite the beehive of activity later in the eve, I would imagine. The grocery store used to be right here. Wholesale grocery. You can still see the remnants there on the side. Kind of painted on the wall, faded out. That's good. Trolley Tour is another company that goes through here. Yeah, you got the right idea, being out of the wind in there, being out of the elements. Doing a little moonshining, are you, here in your Model A? I'm just looking at the information placard here. Ford Model A, modified for moonshining. You just parked right here in the middle of the little shopping district. He was not only the co-founder of Capitol Records, but the president of the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Johnny Mercer wrote 1,400 songs. Most famous, Moon River. I forgot that there was this little statue of Johnny Mercer here in Savannah. It's been a while since I've been through these parts. Found some coffee, purchased it from the Coffee Fox, right over here on the corner of Whitaker. There's the logo there. Pretty tasty. I already tried a little bit. They have some pretty dang good coffee. And they give away free stickers with every purchase. Corner of Whitaker, and probably should look up this other one, Broughton, B-R-O-U-G-H-T-O-N. That's the cross streets. Yeah, pretty tasty. See if you could hear the enjoyment on my lips. Oh, my stickers are going away. My stickers are flying away. It's windy. Oh, this one almost went down the sewer to Pennywise. Pennywise, you down there? With the church steeple and the bells ringing. I'm not the only one over here. There's a few other people walking to the area where Tom Hanks sat. Forrest Gump, life is like a box of chocolates, right over there. And I'm gonna go over in that same area and drink my coffee. It's kind of hard to kind of motor around on this when you have a camera in one hand and a coffee in the other, so kind of polish this off first. And of course, in real life, there is no bench in the same spot right along where him and others were sitting, right about here. But there are benches all through the entire Chippewa Square. Steady flow of people over there. Getting a picture of this spot. Kind of doing a self-guided tour. Oh wow, right here in the historic district. I never realized this was right next door to the Forrest Gump spot. And even though we're well in past a week past New Year's, they still got the rockin' New Year's Eve, and there's plenty of tours. I'm kind of doing my own self-guided tour though. Corner of Drayton and East Macon. Something pretty interesting. This was founded here in Savannah, the very first headquarters in the United States, back in 1912. Walk up a little closer here. The building was formerly the stable of Juliette Low, or Lau. And there's Juliette there. Juliette Low. All started here. This is supposed to symbolize on which ride you're supposed to take. You know, if this portion of the car can cost you up to $1,800. I believe talk about a DUI. Or you take a cab like this. Not a lot of people in this day and age take cabs anymore, but there's still some cabs around. Yeah, this has been here for years. I remember this from years ago when I went through this area. Established 1854. And this has a date stamp of 1953 on it. City of Savannah here, this badge. And the barracks here were erected back in 1869 to 1870. That is a historic building. Everything around here is historic. Such a great place. There are a lot of these squares throughout the town. All kind of look the same, but they all have different names and different history. Speaking of history, over there on that corner, that very large brick home is the Davenport House, finished in 1820. Historic building here in town. So here's a few people over there discussing it. And there's also a placard. I'll go over there and read that as well. This square, known as Columbia Square, was laid out in 1799. Facing it to the north is the Davenport House. Isaiah Davenport, one of Savannah's outstanding builder architects. 1956, it was restored by the Historic Society. That'd be incredible to live in something like that, wouldn't it be? The Owens Thomas House. And in this residence, Marquis de Lafayette was living back in 1825. In fact, he gave a speech to the public right up there on the south balcony. And it states all that information right here. He was quartered here as a guest of the city when he visited Savannah in 1825. He addressed the populace. I guess that would mean a crowd of the public from the south balcony. There's a basement called Tabby Construction. It contains the original trim of the de Brom house, which once occupied the site. I like all these like information placards because they give you a lot of info. This is one of the major historic homes. Since I've been standing here, there's been a couple of horse-drawn carriage tours that have gone by. A couple of fantastic looking structures here as well. This SCAD theater with the neon and whatnot. New year, new quarter, and Leopold's ice cream has a sweet neon as well. Looks like this was an old movie theater that's been converted into something else. As well as the Savannah Tap House. Looks to be relics of a theater as well, with the marquee and everything still in existence here. Up near the corner of Drayton. This is Broughton. B-R-O-U-G-H-T-O-N. That's how it's spelled, this road. The Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. With a little sunburst glimmering through there. It's impressive. The center point here in Madison Square commemorates the heroism of William Jasper. Reading off of this little information here. Madison Square was laid out in 1839 and is named for the 4th President of the United States. Around the square stand notable examples of Greek Revival, Gothic, and Romanesque architecture, including the old sorrel weed house right over there, which some say is one of the most haunted spots here in town. I'll walk over and get a better view. Completed, being built in 1840 from the plans of Charles B. Kluski, a well-known Georgia architect. Distinguished trend of Savannah architecture. The original owner, Francis Sorrell, a shipping merchant, and was purchased later by Henry D. Weed. Yeah, that's old-timey haunted mansion right there. A little work is taking place over there. I think someone might be vacuuming. But wanted to point out where it says United States Tire up there on the side of the brick, an old paint, paint advertisement. It's faded out, but you still faintly see it. This little restaurant here on the side of Whitaker and West Congress is owned by Paula Deen. It's called the Lady and Sons. And they have a retro looking neon sign up there, but this place opened in '89. But they're given that old-timey feel with the neon, even though it's kind of modern. On the corner of Bull Street is the U.S. Custom House. And looking at this, reading over this, there used to be a house on this site back in the day where James Edward Oglethorpe, the founder of the colony of Georgia, lived for a time. And in '36, John Wesley preached his first sermon at Savannah in a building which stood at the rear of the lot, right over there. Oh, here's another little plaque that dates the Oglethorpe's house. On this site stood the house that Oglethorpe, when in Savannah, his home he made to better protect the young colony. Adjacent to Warren Square, corner of Congress and Habersham Street, is a very unique house which is kind of up for a little bit of conversation around town by the owners. It was stated for years that this was a Sears kit house that you could get from Sears and put together, and it was stated that the person that put it together way back in the day put the windows in upside down, so you could see how the windows there on the little protruding awning next to the upper porch look like they're upside down. Well, I guess this has been disputed over the years, and no one really knows the answer if the windows are put in upside down or if it is supposed to look like this. Now, at first glance, you would assume that those windows right there are upside down, talking about this right here. And for a while, a few years ago, supposedly, there were signs placed on one of these balconies from the owner saying this was not a Sears kit house. And to be perfectly honest with you, I do not know the answer to said question. To me, it looks as if the windows are upside down, but I'm not an architect, nor do I know a lot about Sears kit homes. But that's what a lot say. The majority say those windows are put in upside down. It's up for artistic interpretation. Builder's artistic interpretation. It's kind of chilly, and I'm having trouble speaking. My lips are numb. My fingers are numb riding around on that scooter. And the wind chill. Definitely a nice little wind chill here. Down about a block or so is another square. They all kind of look very similar. But this was incorporated back in 1843. This is the International Seamen's House, operated by the Port Society. Across this street is the old pirate's house. Ooh, we're getting a nice little breeze off the water right over there. The water's right there. Ooh, nice little gusty breeze going across my face. You got the sightseeing tour going by as well. It is now a restaurant, but according to this, it was associated with Savannah's maritime history and Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island, built in 1754. Very fantastic block of buildings as well, kind of co-joined up to the Pirate's House. Take a look at these going through here. Originally built and opened as an inn for pirates, seafaring pirates. Oh, look over there across the water, across the Savannah River. Look at that. It's the back end of a large barge going down the river. Costco, C-O-S-C-O, Pacific. And the tugboat behind it. That thing is massive. I had to hurry to catch up with it. I was scooting along pretty quick to get to this little open area to even visually show it. Notice around the backside here of some of these businesses, they have these bridges that go over the cobblestone that you can walk from the main road and the parking area over to these other buildings without having to go down there upon the brickwork. And there's some pigeons walking around down there on the cobble. Yeah, these little walkway bridges. That's different. I ended up going back to my hotel for a few hours just to kind of warm up. But now I'm over here at a place called Rainbow Row. Kind of reminds me of the Painted Ladies in San Francisco. There's another tour vehicle going through. Be pretty neat to live at one of these. These are private residences. There's little signage on the front of the doors. That's pretty cool though. Very beautiful. I'm heading back over to the Pirate House where I was earlier before I got distracted by that barge going down the river. And you're just kind of getting a view here of the road. But the Pirate House, right up ahead there. Whew, it is still nice and crisp and cool out here. Feels good, but I had to take a little bit of a break from the wind and the coldness. Go relax in the hotel for a while, warm up. Got a few old relics here around the back. Now this is a restaurant. I will not be getting a meal at the moment, but just wanted to show here around the, not the backside of water, but the backside of the Pirate House. And if I'm reading this correctly, the Trustees Garden at this site was the first public agricultural experimental garden in America. That's something I didn't know. Learn something new every day. 10 acres the garden consisted of. And in 1755, the site was developed as a residential section. That was a long time ago. This is an interesting contrast. This relic of the past. This old building there in front of those new apartments, condos, hotel, right along the water. Out with the old and with the new, except it's not out with the old. Savannah keeps around a lot of, if not all, their old buildings, which is nice. Another square by the name of Green Square. I really like the houses through here. Look over there, the beautiful houses across the way. And then this purple two-story one as well. And then down that road as well, which is York Street. And there's some indication of why it was named York Street here on the side of this fantastic looking brick building. York Street was laid out in 1733, named in honor of the Duke of York. And Houston Street, was named in honor of John Houston, the governor of Georgia, back in 1778, and the first mayor of Savannah in 1790. And speaking of San Francisco style architecture and painted ladies, of course these aren't painted, but yeah, you can just picture Uncle Jesse and Joey and the rest of the crew in here. A totally different state, I know, but it just reminded me of that. Colonial Park. Used from 1750. Oh, there goes a classic car alert, a bug over there. Look at that. Used from 1750 until it was closed in 1853. Okay, we got the classic bug, and then here goes another horse-drawn carriage tour that's going by as well. The carriage company going by there. Give it a lot of facts. I try to kind of learn on my own as I go around by using all these little information signs. Among the distinguished who rest here are Archibald Bullock, the first president of Georgia, and James Habersham. There's a road here in town named after that family. He was the acting royal governor of the province. Also, Joseph, who was a relation, who was the postmaster general. And I've kind of noticed that quite a few people that are walking through here going from the direction I just walked in and the other direction walking past me are just using it as more of a thoroughfare than a paying respects or curiosity to learn about history type of thing. You don't see that too often. It goes over into other little areas and neighborhoods of Savannah, which is pretty fascinating. So it really is a park, you know, obviously used for what you're seeing, but that's rare. You don't see that in a lot of other towns where you just walk directly through to another area of Savannah. You know, when you go over that way, you can see everyone heading out. They just kind of beelining it out the other way from one end to the other. But if you really start to get down into the nitty-gritty, you find this stuff really fascinating. William Scarborough was the promoter of the first transoceanic steamship, and he is here. All kind of history. Duelists. You always hear about duels, but to read and realize that they were a real thing, very interesting. James Wilde was bested by Captain Roswell P. Johnson, and James' brother wrote this poem in honor of him, of his passing, in a duel. Oglethorpe Avenue runs in two directions, one way heading towards me and one way the other one. So there's two Oglethorpe Avenues, and right here in this median is the original 1733 burial allotment to James Edward Oglethorpe, a name you've probably heard a couple times through this episode. Very well known around these parts. Former governor of Georgia. And the building over here, the home across the way, also shares a historical significance from this marker that you see here within eye view. Nice courtyard around the back, and look at that little second floor porch there. Very beautiful. And this is upkept by the organization that Juliette Lowe started. Juliette Gordon Lowe. She was born in 1860. And her home until her marriage there in 1886 to William Lowe. back over in the neighborhood now where Lady and Sons restaurant is. I had to look it up, but back in 2010 I did a tour with my band TNT and the Scarred, and we played right inside this pizza place, which is now called Kay's Pizza, but back then it was Sweet Melissa's, and in the basement was where the shows took place, right across here from this building at this pizza place. And I kind of went in and talked to them, and the stairwell behind the counter is still there. They wouldn't let me go down in the basement, but yeah, it brings back some memories here. Also a year prior, back in 2009, played here. So played here twice, 2009 with different tour, and then 2010 with the Scarred on the DNA energy drink tour. And this was from 2009. This little alleyway, they've gotten rid of the bricks and paved it, and they painted the windows. Oh yeah, well over a decade ago. Sitting right down there, chowing down on a piece of pie. And they no longer do shows in the basement, according to those that are working in there. But check this out, you can see all the stickers, all the old punk rock stickers. I was looking for either my band or bands I was familiar with, but all the way up the pole are remnants of where stickers used to be. Yeah, pretty dang cool. Memories. I put the scooter away, walking back down to the riverfront once again. Yeah, the scooter has a hard time on these rocks. This is the lower level of what I was showing earlier from up top there. These historic steps as well. I just love all the rocks that make up the road. Oh yes, certainly slightly brisk at the moment out here. Wind is really kicking up a gale force. Well, not a gale force wind, but a wind nonetheless. As I look over at the riverboat down there. That's gonna do it for today. I'll see you in the next video. The vlog is over.